Welcome back to Doc's Hot Shop and Forge. So with Christmas now just passed, I can go into this little project that I've had going. So I recently had a supply of ball bearing balls sent to me, 40mm, 30mm and 25mm diameter. And today I'm going to take one of the 30s and draw it out and make a paring knife. So this will be somewhat rushed because Christmas is, as I'm filming this, just around the corner, but as you're watching it, just passed. So I'll be using the press to get these started, and then I will hand forge out the blank, grind, heat treat, temper and build the handle. Hopefully we'll get it all done in time, so we'll see how we go. Not expecting this to be easy to move. It is 51-200 steel, but the press will be a bit of an advantage. So let's get these hot. Alright, so the small one, we've got grind it down to a point where we can hold it securely. Not a technique I'm all that familiar with, but for this material I'm willing to give it a go. It does not like to move. In general, that width all the way along. A bit thinner than that. Might actually be an opportune moment to call it for the day. that bottle's definitely empty. Ready, profile. Let's work in the tang a bit. Alright, no prizes for guessing. Normalize this thing now. So, step one, let's get this thing down to thickness. We need it down about 2 millimeters or so, and then we'll profile it. So let's get started. So we now have the blade profiled, down to thickness, so now we're going to go through the bricks, 60, and then down to below 180 before we heat treat. Still need to tidy up the transition and the tang a little bit, but this is getting there. So we've got this to 120 grit. We're going to take it through a bit further with hand sanding, probably to 400 prior to, so this is 240. So this is 240, we're going to take it through until we can't see any more scratches. Along the way we do need to drill the holes in the tang for the handle pins. 240 from 120, so it's roughly the doubling in grit that you want. Still quite a few scratches to get out, so I'll get to it. So I'm working on the second side. I've got it mostly done. There's a few down the tip and a few across here. Shouldn't take too much longer. Now this blade is freshly annealed. It's still dead straight. We're going to try and not heat the tang because we want to leave that as soft as we can, because I think we need to drill out the rivet holes a bit more. The beauty of this steel is that it's both oil and water hardening. I'm going with oil, and then I'll be tempering it at about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 odd degrees Celsius. So let's hope it stays straight. Because this thing is ridiculously thin, we're coming up on temperature pretty quick. Magnet still sticks. I don't want to go too far. So we're taking it in and out, in and out. Okay, got a fairly good idea of where we're at. Alright, here we go. It stayed straight. Let's get it in the oven. Not the device I was after, but it'll do. So, we're making progress. What we're doing is we're actually fitting the tang to the slot. So as we get further in, the fit becomes tighter and tighter. And then we've only got a tiniest little bit of peening to do to get it just right. The beauty of this is also leaves a very nicely keyed surface for the epoxy. So at this point the fit up is almost where I'm happy. Alright, that is shouldering up perfectly now. So now we just got to peen in a little bit to get rid of that gap. And then we can buff this thing flat. And then we'll be ready for fitting up the handle. So to get the perfect fit, I peened down just a little bit in there. Now I'm just bringing that top surface all the way down to take those peening marks out. We're only talking 1/4 of a millimetre. So there we go, that's as seamless as I can get it. So that's just going to need the wooden handle. Once it's all glued and laminated together, then I'll carve this part down so that it all flows together. So the handle material is going to be stabilised bog oak, and a shout out to Creative Man for being able to fix me up with some on really short notice, really close to Christmas. The scales are ever so slightly different thickness, but I'll fix that in a minute. So I'll take the back of this one down to 1/2 millimetre before I get too much further in. But there's the blade. So alright, the end of the block is not cut square. Alright, we got the first half fitted. Let's do the other half. So, a little bit to be removed. The first thing we need to do though, realistically, is square this up. There's a little bit of discrepancy. Alright, so we're starting to work on the second scale. Now the observant of you may notice there's a gap here. I'm going to pack that with epoxy soaked leather in a contrasting colour. And yes, it's not deliberate, it is because I forgot to check that this face is square to at least one of those surfaces. Stupid of me, but you know, that's the way it goes. Alright, that is a pretty good fit up. Alright, let's make the final pin. Cut out the piece of leather that we're going to squish in there, and let's get things gluing up. So we're now at glue up. I'm using a 2-hour working time epoxy, so it's got good deal of time to soak in. Into the wood as much as possible. Now this is stabilised wood, so it's not going to soak in much, if at all. It is also a super high strength epoxy, so now, there really isn't much of a way to do this that doesn't involve getting your hands dirty. Alright, I'm going to have to go down to the workshop for this bit. Sorry. so we've got the handle roughed in. So let's file it to shape. So we've got about about a millimetre there, half a millimetre at the back here. The sides are within a fraction of a millimetre of where they should be. And once it's done, we'll need to give the leather insert a little bit of epoxy just to waterproof that. But for the moment, let's start working on this. This isn't my good vice, I'm sorry. The good vice seems to have gone AWOL. Okay. $19.5. $19.5. Excellent. Still got half a millimetre there, and maybe a quarter at the back. Alright, so now, I don't know if you can see this, but I've marked up for chamfering the corners, and then we need to trim the handle to length. We've got about a centimetre too much. And then it should be a nice little tearing knife. So let's begin chamfering these corners. I need to find something a little bit to pack that out with. Alright, time to sand the handle down to So the knife ended up at around about 106 millimeters long, 18 millimeter wide blade with a spine thickness of 2 millimeters mid-length and 2.5 at the handle end. And overall, it's about 20 centimeters long, including the handle. As you can see, the fit up has actually come out really well, and this knife has actually been received very well and does its job quite admirably. So if you've enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. Feel free to share on social media, and if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. When you do, don't forget, ring the notification bell. So get out to your shop, revisit old skills, but above all, stay safe, and I'll catch you for the next one.